Okay, here's a video on introduction to factoring quadratic trinomials using the big X method. I'm going to do different examples here than I did in class, so if you're watching this after class and you wanted some more assistance, these are different examples. So let's say you were given the quadratic trinomial x squared plus 11x plus 24. And I ask you to find the factors. That means I'm asking you to find the two binomials that can multiply together to equal this trinomial. And we're going to do a certain method to figure this out. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to label A, B, and C. A is the coefficient of x squared. For this week, it's always going to be a 1. B is the coefficient of x. So that's 11. Don't use the x, just use the coefficient. And C is 24. Please always include that step. Now, to find the factors, this is where special big X becomes, or where big X becomes an important thing that we're going to use. I'm going to draw big X. And when we use big X in this context, it's used a very specific way. A times C goes on top, 1 times 24. On the bottom, we're going to put whatever the B is. That's 11 here. This is still our product, the 24. And the 11 is still our sum. So we're looking for two numbers. When multiplied, we get 24. When added, they give us 11. Now, since everything's positive, those two numbers are both going to be positive. And what I want you to do when you do these is you're trying to find these two numbers. You can think about it or guess a few times for a few seconds. And then if you don't get it, would you please go right to some sort of method? Let's do 1 times 24. That won't get me 11. 2 times, let's say you don't know. You go over here and you do 24 divided by 2. 1. 12, right? So 2 times 12, will that get me 11? No. About 3. Oh, 3 times 8. There we go, found it. But notice I'm not going to just like stare at this and hope I find it. I'm going to come over here and start to figure it out as soon as necessary. So the two numbers that multiply to be 24 and add to be 11 are 8 and 3. I always put the biggest number here, and I want you to do the same. Now, to make this into factors, the two binomials, I put a parentheses x, and then I take this factor and the sign, plus 8. New set of parentheses x, and I take this new number and its sign, plus 3. This is my answer. What I'm saying is, if I multiply these two together, I will get this trinomial. So these are the factors of that. You know how much I love checking our work? So now we're going to go over to the side and check our work. I'm always going to tell you whether you're going to check by distribution or box. We're going to check this one by distribution. So I'm going to erase this just so I have more space. I'm going to take that x plus 8 times x plus 3 and make sure when I multiply them together, I get this. I ask you to do it by distribution, so that's the one with the arrows. It's x squared plus 3x. Do that, an arrow to the x, and arrow to the 3. 8 times x, 8x. 8 times 3, 24. Combine like terms, x squared plus 11x plus 24. And then I look back here. Yes, it worked. Look, I multiplied these two binomials together, and the result was the original trinomial. Got it. Let's try another one. And you can fill this in on number 9 on your paper, or if you're watching this as a supplementary thing, you just do it on notebook paper. Let's say that your trinomial that I gave you was x squared minus 8x minus 20. I want you to find the two binomials that when multiplied together have a product of that. First step is always label A, B, and C. A is 1, B, negative 8, always watch your signs. And C, negative 20. We're going to ask big X to help us out. So we draw an X. And the top of the X is always A times C. Make sure you memorize that. And then B goes on the bottom. Get it? B on the bottom. Okay. A times C, negative 20. B, negative 8. So I'm looking for factors of 20 that when multiplied give me negative 20 and when added give me negative 8. So I have a negative product. So I'm going to have a negative and a positive or a positive and a negative. Here's a hint. Whatever the sign of B is, put it here. It can be a negative times a positive. Okay. Let's say I can't think of it right away. I'm just going to go down the list. 1 times 20, that equals 20. But it's not going to get me negative 8. What about, 4 times 5. I'm going out of order on purpose. If I multiply 4 times 5, that'll get me negative 20, but it won't ever add up to 8. So what is that next? 2 and 10, right? 2 times 10 is 20. I can subtract them and get negative 8. The bigger one is going to have to be negative. In fact, match the sign of B right here, and then put the big factor here and the smaller one here. Negative 10 times positive 2 is negative 20. Negative 10 plus 2 is negative 8. Now, I have to write them as factors because that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm going to put parentheses X, and then I'm going to take this number and its sign, negative 10. Parentheses X, this number and its sign, plus 2. These need to be right next to each other, no commas, not on top of each other, just exactly like this. Box it, because this is your answer. Those are the factors. And of course we have to check our work, because we're going to make sure these two things multiply together and get us back to here. So let's check this one by box method, please. So I'm going to erase this so I have a little more room. So again, I'll always tell you which way to check for now, and I want you to try box. So you're going to take the first factor, X, and a negative 10, put it on top of the box. Over here, X and the positive 2. Okay, now you fill in your box. X times X is X squared. X times 2, 2X. X times negative 10, negative 10X. 2 times negative 10 is negative 20. Take everything out of the box. X squared plus 2X minus 10X minus 20. Then I need to combine like terms. X squared minus 8X minus 20. Yes, that's exactly what I started with. So I did indeed find the two binomials that when multiplied together equal X squared minus 8X minus 20. And let's do one more example. If you're following along at home and you have the worksheet, you can do this on the next page on number 10. If you're just doing this on notebook paper, that's fine also. So last one we're going to try here is, let's use the trinomial x squared minus 13x plus 36. And remember, we got to do A equals B equals C equals. A equals 1, B equals negative 13, C equals 36. Remember, no x's in your ABC. I want to find the factors. That's the two binomials that when multiplied together will get me that product. We need big X for this. A times C. And I'm checking my signs. Yeah, positive 36. So that's just a positive 36 up here. B on the bottom. So I have a positive product and a negative sum. Well, if you multiply two numbers and the answer is positive, you either have positive, positive, or negative, negative. Well, that's negative. So these better be negative, negative. Okay, I need two factors of 36 whose sum is negative 13. You might think of it right away, but let's pretend like you didn't. You just come over here, let's see, 1 times 36, that's not going to work. 2 times, let's pretend like you didn't know that. You would just come here and do a division problem right away. 36 divided by 2. 2 times 18. Will that get you negative 13? Nah, because negative 2, negative 18, that would get you negative 20, so that's not what you want. What about 3? If you don't know that one right away, I mean, you should, because you're supposed to know your 12s, but you can do short division. 3 goes into 3 one time. 3 goes into 6 2 times. Oh, negative 3, negative 12. Oh, not negative 13, huh? About 4. Does 4 go into 36? Oh, yeah, it does. 9 times. Oh, negative 4, negative 9 equals negative 13. We found it. So when you put the two numbers here, I like to put the big number first. I already knew they were negative, negative. Negative 4, 9, negative 4. If you add them, you get negative 13. If you multiply them, you get positive 36. Hey, I just found my factors if I do this. X minus 9, X, and a minus 4. That's my answer right there. By the way, the big X, that's not your answer. That's showing your work. This is your answer. If I multiply these two binomials together, this will be my answer. Let's check by distribution. X minus 9, X minus 4. I'm multiplying them now. And I want you to draw the arrows. So it's X times X, X times negative 4. That's X squared minus 4X. Negative 9, don't forget the negative. That'll be negative 9X. Negative 9 times negative 4, positive 36. And I'm trying not to look over here because I don't want to know yet. I want to make sure I did the problem right. It's X squared minus 13X plus 36. Yeah, I did it. Got it. So this is what you're going to do on your homework. The homework came from page 5. And what I'll do in case you don't have this, I mean, I put it on Classroom, but I'm going to put this right here so you can copy these down. Of course, you'll have to pause the video. And then make sure you can get the instructions. So you can pause the video and copy these down if you need to. You're supposed to do them on separate paper anyway. And I want to point out some things about the instructions. 1 through 8 are just like the examples we just did. They're all going to use big X, and you're going to check your work here by box multiplication. Check your work here by distribution. So these are all those big X things we were just doing. 9, 10, 11, notice there's no X squared. You're just solving for X here like you did on the previous homework, right? Get your X's on one side, your numbers on the other, isolate the variable, that kind of thing. And then check your work by substitution. There will be some fractions. Make sure you do all the fraction work. Okay, best of luck on this. And if you need help, make sure you contact someone else who's in the class and ask them for a little assistance. You can also watch videos on factoring quadratics. If you just put in factor quadratic, there'll be videos.